and gentlemen, until I say stop clapping, we are not stopping. Help me welcome on stage for our masterclass on the culture and language of the bold new normal. Keep clapping till she takes up the stage, Lucy Quist.
First of all, I want to say a very big thank you to all of you because you are who make today possible. There's no conference without a conference. So thank you all for spending the time. I am super proud to be associated with Margins ID Group because of what Mina described. I know you didn't catch her name. Her name is Mina. But it's the reality of the company and what that company means for us in Ghana. But at the same time, I'm very grateful for all the other companies who also partner and make today possible. Stanbic, MTN, Telecel, Type, all our media partners. You know, I don't know whether you've seen Doreen in the room. Right? Everything changes when I come and I get on the media. And it's a very different vibe and feel because social media is important. But when you get into a Ghanaian radio station, you know, Doreen is the only one who managed to get out of me that there's a French book. All the people I spoke to, and I'm like, how did she make the conversation land there? Right? So grateful for our media partners, multimedia from day one. You know, 4 years ago when I went to multimedia, they're almost like, why are you even asking? It's done, right? Dominion TV reached out to me, the CEO, and she was like, how come you're doing this and you didn't call us, right? Sunny FM, this week when I went there, they even remembered that I like Luigi McLean. They started playing Luigi McLean, right? And you've seen Bernard here last year, and you heard me on there. So I'm really grateful for all of the partners, really grateful for the team, and I'll do the rest of the thank yous later. Look, we're going to do a quick fire hour and a half. It's your time. Your time is precious. But you're going to be part of this class. That's why it's a master class. You're going to be active throughout it. So I'm not going to be giving you a speech. You're going to have to create your speech with me. That's why it's a master class, but it's your master class. Of all the notes that you've taken today, and if you haven't, then I don't know why you haven't, there's so many precious things that have been said. And I'm not going to unpack all of them because we're going to build and you're going to respond based on that. But there's one thing Jigbodi said amongst all the things she said, and they're all important nuggets. When she sat down, I said to her, we're too emotional. I'm so glad that she brought that out. It's way too emotional. And I wish it was only a Ghanaian thing. I think last year I mentioned I went to Jamaica with my friends. The bus that was supposed to take us to our hotel was delayed. Instead of managing us, the lady was behaving almost as though we should accept it. And when things like that happen, I don't like to get involved because I know how I speak. Not rudely, but I go in facts. When you are on Jigbodi's chart, the one who go boom, 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 these are the facts, and you're dealing with someone who is emotional, they get very upset with you. Very upset with you. So I go and say to this woman, we booked this thing, because we'd waited too long. We booked this, I gave her all the facts. At that point, I'd spoiled the whole thing. She said she's not talking to us again. The whole group, she's not talking to us again. And when my friends asked her why, your friend, when she spoke, now I'm in my feelings. You're serving your customers, you're in your feelings. People, we need to stop being so emotional. Not everything is an excuse for an emotional breakdown because your customer challenged you. She used that phrase, I'm in my feelings. So Jigbodi, thank you. Hey, you didn't hear the Jigbodi thank you, eh? Hey, the woman has given you something for free. Stop wailing and weeping and stuff and get up and get on with the facts. So, the culture and language of the bold new normal, let's dive in. And we're going to start right here. Anyone who's been at the conference in the last couple of years has seen this map before. Do you remember? Who in this room remembers this map? Who? Hey, Ohini, you don't remember? Ohene is die hard, though. He will WhatsApp me before this thing and say, I'm coming. Okay, so what does this remind you of? What does that map, what comes to mind? Yes, everybody says chocolate when it comes up, right? Everybody says that. Okay, so I decided to change the map because I thought you guys had seen it before, so I won't bring the same map. So I changed it to this, which is rather boring and plain. But we're going to play a really quick fire game, really quick. No speeches, no lectures. If I call your region, you tell me one great cultural fact about it. Cultural, one. One, that's it. Quick sentence. Ashanti. Mics, gets the mics ready. Cue the mics. Ashanti, no Ashanti's here. Irabna is here. Mics. Chop. Bono, who's from Bono? Are you Ashanti? There's Ashanti here, mic lady. Honor Ashanti right here. Ashanti, one great cultural fact, just one, quickly. Industrious, great. Okay, Bono, who's from Bono? Who's Bono? No Bono reps. Bono adjacent. Okay, Bono East. Nobody from Techiman side. Hey, what do you know more? Hey. Okay, Ahafo. Hey guys, you know the regions you're from? You can be half and half. For me, I'm half and half. Ahafo. Okay, Central region. Aha. One great cultural fact about Central region. Bakatwe, awesome. And if you don't know what Bakatwe is, then you have to see Doreen. Eastern. Aha, Ohene. Odra, okay. Odra. Greater Accra, Ingbegameyo. Obake. Northern.
So we have Shevata and the Dawadawa.
Okay, yes. Awesome. But don't you have Fonio?
Fonio?
Yes.
Yeah, it's there, but not as common as the other two.
We should teach them. Fonio is the best grade. Okay, let's move. Thank you. Savannah. Hey, no Savannah. No Savannah, Jason. Northeast. Where are the Northeast people? Northwest. Hey, Upper West. Hey, okay. Volta. Aha. What is Togbe Agokoli? Togbe is a king.
Yes, so that's he's one person, most Voltarians.
Ah, okay.
Very wicked.
Ah, it's Togbe Ofededo, that's I know.
No, okay, so I also know Togbe Agokoli. He was a very wicked man.
Oh, this is a historical figure. Oh, okay. Oti. Who's from Oti? Hey, people. No Oti people here. Hey, abandoned Oti. Okay. Western. Gold. Okay, Western North. I check it. Okay. So on that basis of that, yes. I did. I said that, but you kept quiet. Tell us. Woven baskets, Upper East. Okay, great. So let me ask you a slightly different question then. And let me pick on someone. Gentleman over there. Mike, please. Gentleman over there, what's the culture of Ghana?
Thank you very much, Lucy. To talk about the culture of Ghana is to actually practicalize what you just did and how you've helped all of us here together. Let's talk about hospitality. That is the culture of Ghana.
Okay. Okay, this guy's a very smart guy because everything we said, you'd be pulling him here, pulling here. So, my culture of Ghana is hospitality. At least that one I can find commonality. But you see the challenge there, right? Because he's described a behavior which is cultural to us, right? Socialization. But it's interesting that depending on who you speak to, some people tell you we're hospitable to people who are not Ghanaians, and we're not so hospitable to Ghanaians, and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to dissect that, but the point of the exercise was to get you thinking about Ghana culturally in the context of the background that you come from. And some people will talk about something they produce, some people will talk about a tradition, some people will talk about a food that they eat, right? And all these emblems and elements are part of what form the culture that we recognize, but bear in mind that we're not homogenous. And that's the thing. So even when people say African culture, I wonder, it's hard to even say Ghanaian culture, let alone African culture. One culture wears black when people die, another culture dresses colorfully because they're celebrating the person. And it's all valid culture. But you see how I'm veering off into the representation of culture. I want us to stay in the conversation about the socialization, because at this point in time, each and every single one of you should have your pen and paper capturing your action plan, because that's what you're here for, to take in all of today and leave it with a plan that you can actually work with. So let's get into our exercise. I need to have lots of mics around all the time because this is interactive. This is not a lecture. Unconscious socialization. I gave you an example this morning, and that's the things that impact how we perceive ourselves and the world, because we're starting with the subject of our personal culture and our language. So when someone said this morning, fear woman, what's the other one? There was another one, there were a couple of proverbs that they gave this morning. Those are things that happen to us unconsciously. We read it, we see it, we almost actually believe it because we see it over and over again. You know, in our minds, if I tell you the same thing over and over again, you're going to believe it. Even though maybe the first time I said it, you might have doubted it. But the second time, third, by the time I get to the 10th time, you're like, Anna, send me cry, ampa. Right? And we're seeing that more and more. So there's an unconscious part of our socialization. And what I'm asking you to do is think about those things that settle in you unconsciously because they're always around you. You always see them and you always hear them. And ask yourself, what do you need to change about that? So I'm going to ask a simple question. This morning we heard fear woman. Who wants to offer a counter to fear woman? Who has a counter to fear woman? Okay.
In one sentence, Lucy, that will be value women. Value women.
I love that, right? And by changing fear woman to value woman, you suddenly change your perception and behavior towards women. So guys, that's a concrete example of challenging unconscious socialization. You didn't write the fear woman. In fact, it wasn't even read to you. You just saw it written somewhere. But the moment you took in that phrase, are you going to have that reaction and go, fear woman, dear, why? Or are you going to go, I'm Paul? Hey, what some woman did? That's a choice you're making in the moment, right? Now, there are other aspects of socialization that are very conscious. And Jigbodi gave us some really great examples, right? Great examples of how she responded to socialization as a child. So she knows what took place consciously, and she knows how she responded to look after herself, to preserve herself in a certain culture. That's very conscious. It's not the one that, somebody just wrote on a trotro. It's the one where she's actually saying, if I do this in this culture, I get this response, I'm not going to do it. So there's a difference between conscious and unconscious socialization. Is that clear? They both need to be challenged. But the first one requires you to be much more alert. The second one is the one where it's obvious, but even so, you still have a choice to make in both of them. Now, this is extremely important because we're all on our culture is part of our conveyor belt. It produces the Ghanaian, or produces, in the particular community that you live in, you have a conveyor belt that produces you certain mindsets, certain behaviors, because that's the way things are done. And some of it is conscious and unconscious. So I guess my question back to you now is, what aspects of culture are you willing to challenge? Because we know there's so many great things about our culture, so we're not going to go back over that. But we also know that when it comes to creating prosperity, you heard a lot from all of your speakers today. So either it's a net new idea, or it's something, then when I mean net new, I mean something you heard for the first time today, or something you knew already. What would you challenge about culture that you think does not serve your interests? Remember, this page, we're only talking about you. Forget about all the people around you, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your children. You. What are you willing to challenge about the culture around you?
Hi, I'm Yvonne.
Hi, Yvonne.
So, what I'm willing to challenge is the idea of perfection when it comes to starting out with your goals. A lot of the times when you come up with an idea and you share it with people around you, they expect that you would jump from 0 to 100. They do not necessarily acknowledge that from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3. You know, and it's really, really demoralizing when you expect the people around you to motivate you, to give you access to resources that you might need. And I think it's really, really important for me to unlearn that, and also recognize that, hey, if this person comes up with this idea, it's up to me to also help them and motivate them in whatever capacity that I can, instead of trying to stump down on their ideas, even though they may be, out of the sphere of my experiences.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I'm going to ask a follow-on question of the next person. The point she made there about being self-motivated actually came up in the student session we had over lunch. And over lunchtime, I had a session with the students. And I'm going to flip it to someone else to say, you heard what Yvonne said, right? Is it Yvonne? Yeah. She's going to start to motivate herself and not, as a person, be dependent on everybody aligning and understanding where she's coming from. So does anyone else want to offer, adjacent to that, she's talked about a cultural adjustment that she wants to make to align to where she's going. Who wants to describe an element of culture today that they think already aligns with what they want as their personal culture? 60 seconds.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
It's about one Edin symbol. It's called Suanehu.
Suanehu, learn and understand.
Understand. And it was my basic fundamental philosophy. So showing up here for 4 years, I think that every day a new person will come and I'll learn. Like, Madam, I've never sat in your session before, but I see you post on LinkedIn a lot. So you're one of the key reasons why I came to listen from you. Thank you.
Awesome. So you see what we've just done there. We're not saying there's nothing in the culture that can serve you, but you've got to pay attention. He's taking learn and understand, and he thinks as a part of our cultural construct, the idea that we should learn and understand is good for his purposes. Yvonne's saying the fact that somebody will turn around and quickly tell me that, oh, as for this your idea, it's a new idea, or it's not, she's not going to accept that. Again, making the choice intentionally. So if that's the case, then, if we start to link that to language, and Yvonne has done a bit of that, let's challenge some of the language, right? Like the deep, deep, repeated, strong language. What is an aspect of our language in any of your dialects that you think you need to challenge? And for yourself, remember, this time I'm talking about you. So they've talked about their responses and what they're picking. What is some language that you constantly use that after sitting through today, you're thinking, I need to stop saying that thing?
It's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy.
Right? Wait, no, give her the mic. When you say it's not easy, what do you actually mean?
I mean, like, I'm stuck. I can't do it. So I think going forward, that such words should change. I should rather be positive. Yeah.
Exactly. Right? And we say it. It's not easy. We say it like it's just, it's not easy. But we're not unpacking it to say, when I challenged her, she started to say things like, I'm stuck. Saying I'm stuck and it's not easy, they're not the same thing. Because the moment you say I'm stuck, like Jigbodi described, you can make a choice to say, how do I get unstuck? But when you say it's not easy, especially with that emotional style, it's not easy, that says, Charlie, I'm not doing anything about it. I'm just telling you that it's not easy, right? What's your name again? Rachel. So Rachel is making a choice. You should be capturing a choice of something that you say. You almost say it without even thinking about it. And you say it over and over and over again that you now assume, you heard from, was it Darlington this morning about how Ejumano Papa Dia, right? And we say it so easily. Or you have young, able, strong people, and they're asked to work hard, and they'll say, I can't come and key myself. You're laughing. We say it like it's fashionable. Soft life, I cannot come and kill myself. The people who achieve the things that you want to achieve, do you think they woke up in the morning and said, I cannot come and kill myself? They had 100 tough days, went to bed, slept, woke up, and did it again. But the language you keep speaking to yourself will determine whether you're going to go to a day 101 and beyond. Right? If you were here 2 years ago, you'd have heard Moses talk about the start of his company. And those of you who know him, you see him now, big conference, this. He talked about walking around, briefcase, office to office. Office to office. The beautiful story she told, she didn't tell you the one where he'll go and sit in the office and they'll look at him like the small boy from where he thinks he can do Obroni things. That's exactly what they were thinking. So you have to have the ability to really question yourself, your language, the things you say, the things that you think are normal because all of your friends said it. So Rachel is going to stop saying, it's hard. It's not easy. I want someone else to give us an example of language that they think, it's a Ghanaian thing. I don't use it enough, but actually, I think it's actually a really positive, useful example of what I should do. Ferry, do you have an example? Sorry? You're not worth it. No, I'm thinking of one that is positive that you want to adopt. I said faith it till you make it. Yes, absolutely. Because that's what I believe. I'm not going to tell you I'm going to fake it. I'm going to believe intentionally that that's where I'm going to go to and repeat faithfully that I'm going to get it. So that's a good example. Does anyone have another example?
Hi, Lucy. Yeah.
Yes.
So, Ebefa.
Ebefa.
It will happen. Yeah.
It will happen. Instead of, it's not easy, Ebefa. It will happen. And just that simple act of say, even on a day when you're feeling like, Charlie, I'm tired. It's not easy. If you switch I'm not easy to Ebefa, Ebefa doesn't mean afa and it doesn't mean it's happened today. But it means that you are determined that at some point it will happen. So you see how when we talk about the transformative power of culture and language, and there is power in it both to propel us and to bring us back. And that's why we talk about rethinking socialization. Because there's nothing I have said in the last few minutes that's new to you. Not one thing. All I'm asking you is to separate the wheat from the chaff. Intentionally. That's all I'm asking you to do. Separate the wheat from the chaff. Don't assume it is what it is. Because do you or do you not have agency? Do you or do you not have the power to make choices? Nobody in this room is a child. I know we had one person who had just left SHS, and then Amanda's beautiful daughter, but everyone here is an adult. So if you don't have agency at this point, you need to seek out your own agency. Agency means that you feel that you have a degree of autonomy to make choices, to do things for yourself. If you're still at the stage where it's because it's how it's always done, what my mother did, and your mother did great things. She may have also done other things that weren't great. She's human. But you have to make that conscious choice to have agency. So I'm going to pause because on our next slide, we're going to go from the individual to the family. So I'm going to pause for any question you have on this idea of unpacking your personal culture and language and unpacking what you're going to do differently about it. Remember, in the beginning of the day, we said stop, start, continue. What you're going to do differently about your personal culture and language to create your bold new normal. Any question in the room? Anything unclear?
Hello, Lucy.
Hi.
I wanted to go back to the discussion you had with Mr. Joel this morning about rethinking about how we, and I'm going to connect it with what you're saying right now, which is how do we socialize when it's coming to redefine our personalities. So right now we are thinking about conscious socialization and also language. It's good to change the language. Let's say today I'm going to talk to myself and say, don't think that it is difficult. Like, you can do it no matter how the situation could be. You can definitely do it. But how to stay consistent on that change, to not just have the motivation, but to really stay consistent on that change that you want to make it for yourself?
Brilliant, brilliant question. At the start of the day, I said something. I said everyone should leave here with an accountability partner. It's very difficult to stay the course of transformation, especially personal transformation, if you're going it alone. Any journey is difficult to go alone. And I'm yet to find a single leader, one, who did not have a support system, at least one person who made it happen. Right? So sustaining is really important. Going the long distance is important, but you need people who go the journey with you. And you need to select them intentionally. Some people will go the whole journey with you. Some people will go some of the journey. But you need at least one person who keeps you honest, who knows your plans and your intentions, who knows the shift you're trying to make. Look, this stuff is not easy. The fact that we struggle to find a word for transformation. Do you know what it means not to be able to find a word for something in your language? It means it hasn't been named in your language. And if it has been named, you don't use it as part of your social construct, so you don't know it. That is what it means. That thing just played out around transformation, and then Jigbodi asked the question. It's probably one of the deepest things that's happened today. We do not have a word for it. If you have not named it, it doesn't exist. That is what it means. It means that in our societies, myself included, in our local languages, at least for me, I don't have a strong construct or transformation in my Ghanaian language. that my understanding and construct of transformation is in the English language. Do you know what that means? It means I have to be very intentional in understanding how I can connect the dots because I don't have a construct for it. Someone said Sankofa when we said transformation. Sankofa is going backwards. Transformation is a forward action. I'm going to spend months thinking about this because it's a deep, big thing. We do not have a word for it. Right. Okay, so at the end, we'll come back. Right. So, I want to pivot to the family. And this started this morning with Sydney. Someone asked Sydney a question. You see, I'm paying attention. You think I don't come here to live? Me, I come here to learn. Someone asked a question about disrespect, that when you have an open door policy and you're very open to people, then they disrespect you. What do you do about it? And Sydney talked about the family and where it starts, right? Now, in talking about that, he wasn't sort of blaming the parents, but he was very clear that it means that this is something that this person feels is okay and then they're used to. So I need the mic to stay in the room. I asked a question about somebody knowing about their great-grandfather, right? I want someone else to take the mic back to that similar question. How would you describe your family over 3 generations? And I'm giving you a minute. 1 minute, 3 generations. Describe your family. Whichever branch you want to take, I don't mind. One person, brave person, 1 minute. Describe your family.
Hi, Lucy.
Hi, where are we? Hi.
Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
I'm Ashanti, very matriarchal. I was always taught that we are matriarchal people, so Obana, Shrifi, or like the generations are dependent on myself, my grandma, my great-grandparents, my great-grandmothers, and my mother always taught us, she's not an educator or anything, but she made sure that she taught us where our matrilineal line came from, and I think that was what embedded culture in me, especially being Ashanti, knowing that it's kind of down to me. When you have daughters, they're like, hey, try and have more so that your lineage can pass on. So like, my mom only has 1 daughter, and they kind of said it in a pitiful way, like, hey, it's now down to make sure you've passed on, like, nasin shi, like your roots won't spoil. Likewise, I have 1 daughter. So
you're not shifting the thing. She had 1 daughter, you two have 1 daughter.
That's why they keep saying, hey, try and have more for your mom's sake. But just being Ashanti and from that matrilineal line, it's just taught me to work hard for myself. And when I hear people saying that African is very patriarchal, I look at my roots and think, no, it's actually, I don't rely on a man. My grandmother said, which is, I think, negative and positive, meaning that a man is not a pillow to lie on. I just saw that and thought, I must do it myself. If he comes, yes. If he doesn't, then it's okay.
So what's the outcome?
The outcome is that I'm a very hardworking person. I'm very self-reliant because I know that my mothers beforehand were also very self-reliant on themselves and their family. They had the children and they made sure they worked very, very hard. There was no expectation on anyone.
Thank you. I'm quite sure that if I ask every Ashanti person in this room, I'm half Ashanti, they would agree with this saying about Bema and Yesumye and Fanya Huntin Susu. But Jackie, it was quick to say it's both positive and negative, because it's good to stand on your own 2 feet. But any saying that leads you, especially if you've decided that you're a Christian, let's be clear, I gave you the context this morning, then that saying culturally does not serve you. Because it's about creating partnership. It's not about creating this idea that you can't be trusted, right? That's what it's saying. But I'm not going to go there because this was a specific example, but it's another example. But you see how Jackie described her family in terms of the values that the family lives culturally day to day, the strong belief in the strength of the mother and what the mother passes on 1 generation to another. But very importantly, she talked about how she behaves as a result, right? So if you think about your immediate family, whether it's the family you come from, your parents and your siblings because you don't have your own children, or if you have children, how would you describe then the culture of your family? Your own family. I know Masterclass, think a lot. It's thinking, because I want you to take that thinking out of this room and to take it into doing. How would you do it? Tell us whether it is the family you came from, your parents and siblings, or whether you have your own family. Either is fine.
So I'm speaking for my family that I came from.
Okay.
And I'm Nigerian, but my parents are really mixed. So they're both Igbo, Yoruba, and some part of Hausa, right? And so because of that family, it was within that family, I never heard things like, these people are like this, and those people are like that, because either side you take, it's speaking against one of my parents, right? And so it was until I got out of the house and went into high school, I realized, oh, Igbos don't like Yorubas. But so for me, it's made me adapt to different cultures. I came to medical school here. I've been living in Ghana, and you can't tell the difference between my friends and I. I'd never had that culture of this is them and this is me. And so I can see that translating my siblings as well. We are very accommodating. We're very inclusive. We're able to blend into and see anywhere we are. Like when people are having conversations around divisions, it's very hard for us to take sides and generalize and say this kind of people or those kind of people. And I really am grateful to my parents like that, because they weren't globalized at that point. But now looking at all of us working across the world and having to work in different cultures, both within Africa and outside Africa, I really appreciate that culture that we've fostered, and I can see that continue with us.
Awesome. What's your name, please?
Nkechi.
Nkechi. So your dad is Igbo.
My dad is Igbo, my mom is Yoruba.
Yeah. So what Nkechi described there, did you see how I asked her a question about cultural norms of her family, and she quickly started talking about what they say in her family? It's very difficult to not have language walk with culture, right? Because the fact that they didn't call other people, they didn't other people, meant that she didn't even have that language or that mindset. They didn't give it to her. And the only way they could have given it to her was by telling her, or even making it part of the household conversation and the household way of doing things, right? Whether it was a choice or not, they did it. And that same socialization, so you see what I'm doing in this, we're unpacking what you've learned throughout the day in ways that you should, I hope, many of you will apply. So what Nkechi's parents have gifted her without her even, by the time she was conscious of what they've given her, she already had it. That's what socialization does to you. It gives you things you don't know whether you didn't know you had, until you find yourself in situation and context where it becomes relevant. Then someone else has a different view, and you're like, oh, really? I wasn't even aware of that. I wasn't aware that I wasn't supposed to be in Ghana because those Ghanaians, right? So this is something that happens so easily, and we just assume that it's just a joke sometimes, or it's just funny to other someone else, and it's a great example. And we do it up and down the country, even within the same country. But I'm going to stick with the family for a moment. And I want you to think about the things that you admire in another family. Any family, Ghana, another country, or even on television. Do you have an example of a family that you observe? You're not part of it, but you admire them for some reason. And I want you to tell me, what is it you admire about them?
In the family I come from, they like to correct in a negative way. They'll shout at you, or they'll insult you, or they'll tell you. But I see other families where they are soft to people, and it still yields the results. So I've had to make a conscious effort to start learning how to do things that way, because it actually brings better results than shouting at the child and insulting the child.
Awesome. So so when you say better results, because I asked about what you admire about them, you said it's the way they talk to each other, and then you said it gives better results. Can you help us with what you mean by better results?
So, for instance, when you do something and your mom tells you that, even though you've done this, I know you didn't mean to do that. I still love you, and you're still worth me correct. Like they try to explain why they are correcting you, and then they speak positive reinforcement into you. I think it yields a better result than just insulting the child that "Wait, Jimmy pa, so I think you might aim to correct the child, but you end up dimming the child's confidence and then making them retrogress.
Thank you very much for that. We have another comment here. The benkuta part. The benkuta is the kneading stick spoon for cooking banku.
Okay, so my name is Aisha.
Hi, Aisha.
Hello. So I'm a Fulani.
Uh-huh.
And I have this friend who is a Fanti. Usually when we go for workshop in Cape Coast, I spend some days in her house. And after prayers, early morning, she sits with the children and the husband, and they talk about what happened yesterday, a quick one in a summary. And then she'll ask, what did I do wrong? And they pray and apologize to each other. So I was like, hey, what is this? And sometimes she can quickly say maybe her eldest daughter is angry at her because she wouldn't come out. Or her husband has a problem because he wouldn't come out. So I was like, okay, so problem-solving strategy. Okay, AFA. I would also apply that. Then, when I started giving birth, I used that as well. I do the Quranic studies with my children early in the morning. And I realized it was okay learning at that stage. They were picking it little by little. But I don't ask about questions because they are little. I'm sure there's something they would tell me. So it was very helpful. And that was something I picked from her. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think the willingness to learn from other people is so important. And so sometimes we sit back and we vilify everything that we have, and we just assume there's nothing good happening around us, our country, our people. I mean, if she's told this story to someone, they'll say, hey, why? Are they white? Some people, let's be honest, some people in this room, when she told that story, you probably asked her whether, thought in your mind, are they white? Exactly. But the point is that we can observe. Remember that I started this about you, the individual. And I said, do you have agency? Do you feel confident that you can make choices? The same applies to you as a family member, especially as a parent. Especially as a parent, you have to be intentional. Don't just do the thing because that's what your mother did, or that's what your father did, or that's what your grandma did. There are things in your family line that are brilliant and great, and you want to pull it down into your family. But there are also things in your family that you may think, I saw these other people do it differently. I like the way it came out there. I'm going to learn from that and add it to mine. It doesn't mean that I'm no longer an Ashanti or no longer a Ga or whatever, but I can adjust. Culture has to evolve. And as we evolve our culture, we evolve the language around it. Do you now think that these children in this household, when they go out and they have a misunderstanding with someone, the first thing they're going to do is fight? They don't even know it. They don't even understand. Like, they'll probably see some people fighting over a difference of opinion. They'll be like, hey, why are they in a fight? They can just talk it out because that's what they've learned and they understand. So I want you to think for a moment, especially those of you who are parents or aspiring to be parents or guardians, or you have any people that you are nurturing. Right? And my question to you is that, what would be the ideal culture and language of your family? You just give me one or two nuggets, just from what you've heard, what would be ideal in your, something that perhaps you're not doing today, but from what you've heard today, what would be ideal?
My name is Aram. I'm Ewe. To me, the ideal family culture would involve having people that are respectful, but still can speak about things that they see as wrong. Even if they are faced with people that they think are like higher above them in rank, or let's say this is your elder sister, you don't talk to your elder sister this way, or if it's your father, you can still put across whatever you want to say, but it's not taken as if you're just challenging the person. Because sometimes, let's say in my family, my father goes, oh, in the Ewe culture, a girl is not supposed to come and say this, oh, in the evening you're supposed to cook and serve your husband in a particular way. And like, you are supposed to be able to understand that things can be done in a different way and still be done well. So that's one thing I think would
That's
be
awesome.
ideal.
So when it comes to ideas, sometimes we don't have the opportunity to maybe change the family we came from, right? It's not always within our gift to change. But the family you intend to create or you've created, you have to consciously choose what the construct of that family is going to be. You can't do copy-paste. Because if you copy-paste, you get what you got before as outcomes. And we don't move forward if we don't copy-paste. So I'm going to go, there was a question from Archie, he's over there. This morning, you asked a question about education. And I said I wanted to touch on it when I come here. So, Archie, I have a question for you. We organized a conference. By God's grace, important people like Jibodi, when I ask them to come, they come. Irabna would do flight. Irabna arrived in Ghana this morning, right? Or yes, last night. Last night, she promised me she's coming from wherever she's, building Africa. She's always building Africa. She came, she's coming. Darlington, the same. I think he said he arrived last night or this morning, right? I'm just giving you an example that all these people are willing to drop everything and come. When we go to family meetings, in my mom's family, I'm picking one. What do you think happens when I'm there? What do you think happens?
Well, in your mom's family, where you have your aunties, everyone who is there, I'm sure you won't be expressive as you are here.
I don't say a word.
Yeah. Yes, you won't say a word, Lucy.
Right? I don't.
Yes.
So think about that. All you amazing people are willing to come and sit here. And yet I'll go to a family meeting. We could be discussing something really important. But because of what we're calling culture, loosely, I don't have a voice. And I will wait to follow the order of things. I will wait to be spoken to. Wait to be told what now we're the children. We used to be the grandchildren, but our grandparents have died. So we've gone up a level in the stakes. Now we are on the children level, and my mom, them are on the parents level. So now they are the chief mourners and things. But do you see what we do to ourselves culturally? Right? You have people who other people are willing to engage, support, learn, work with. And then in our own families, the hierarchy will say, Madam, okay. Now, I'm not taking away from the fact that having an elder as a custodian of the family is a good thing. We do need those custodians. But back to the points we made about leadership this one, we also need those custodians to be willing to open up and take in ideas, right? That's what we should, when we talk about evolving culture, yes, somebody has to be the leader, but the leader has to be willing to get ideas from sources that are valuable to the family. So now let me go back to your question about education. If I was a teacher, don't assume, Lucy Quist, anything you know about me, just the family construct that I've come from. There's a hierarchy. I'm the granddaughter. I don't speak unless I'm spoken to. I sit down. Whatever the elders decide, that's what we do, and we do it, even if I have an idea. And then I'm a teacher. How do you think I'll behave in the classroom?
Same, Lucy. Yes. It'll be same. You push it to the students. I mean, if you would wait for them to get information from you before you give it to them, like the same structure in the family, you bring it to the class.
Because I understand hierarchy.
Yes.
So that child sitting in front of me, I don't want ideas from you. I want you to listen to what I said, memorize it, and then tell me back what I said. I want you to mirror me because I am the one, the authority here. So a lot of the time, back to the question you asked, what we describe as a problem with our education is actually a culture, social, language problem. Right? Seriously, we keep saying, oh, but Lucy, the education. Who runs the education? In the units called the classroom, who's in charge? The teacher sets the tone. Right? When I was talking to the students earlier at lunchtime, they were saying how, Lucy, but some of our teachers, they really get us. And I said, yes, because that teacher has invested and decided to be the kind of teacher that understands what motivates a school child. So 9 times out of 10, when we say our problem is education, what we mean is our problem is how our teachers are socialized, because they're from the same Ghana. So don't think that what we do culturally one place, they won't take with themselves to the classroom, right? If the child isn't learning to put their hands behind their back, as Jigbodi described at home, they're learning it in school, right? And if you don't add please, it means you're not being disrespectful, even if it's a word that's not relevant to the statement you're making, right? So that's some of the things that we need to unpack. I've picked on teachers because you asked the question. But the truth of the matter is that in so many spheres of the way we run our country, we need to ask ourselves, what is informing the way we're behaving in that context? Is it the culture and language that we've been socialized with, or is it the things we learned and taught to teach the children? Because how can you teach science without debate and discussion? How can you teach art and creativity without wanting the child to be creative? I mean, it just doesn't add up. You're teaching a subject that by definition requires a particular behavior, and yet culturally you're saying you can't accept that behavior, and you haven't developed the strength to deal with it. Back to emotion. So that teacher can get offended, say, see, the please that the child didn't say, this child, who's your mother? Your mother did not teach you please. I'll talk to your mother when she comes. So guys, you get this. Are we on the same page? You have to craft a culture and language of your family. And you are the unit of our transformation as a country. So you start by what you want for you, culture and language. You create an environment in your household that has the right culture and language. And if you can transform you and transform your family to one that can have reasonable discussion, Mommy, I wasn't happy about X, Y, Z that you did. This is why it happened. This is how, the response. Oh, really? I didn't mean it that way. I didn't see it in that perspective. Okay, I'm sorry. It won't happen again. But now I understand how you see it. If you can't make that transformation of you and that transformation of your family unit, why are you wasting your time every day going around? It is our leaders. Why are you wasting your time? Where do you think the leader came from? Who made them? You think the leader didn't live the experience that you are living culturally? They had a different experience. It's the same. They kept quiet. And then when they got the big post, now I'm the boss. Here, we'll see who talk. Right? Exactly. Why? Because when they go to their family meeting, even if the person has no honor, he's honorable. So before we start to go out of here and repeat that language, and we talked about leaders this morning, about leaders in families and all that, think about why you're saying that. Are you pointing a finger because you lack understanding of what it's like to be that person? Are you saying that because you'd rather point a finger at someone rather than take responsibility yourself? Or are you going to think within your sphere of what you are going to transform in your culture and language to influence the social experience of the people around you. Because that's what your personal transformation does. It changes socializations of the people who interact with you. You know, someone made Jigbodi change her clothes, and next thing, someone said, there's something different about you. It wasn't only her clothes that changed, her behavior changed. But she didn't go and make an announcement to the person, go, did I tell you, Madame Michelle, she made me change my clothes. Then she thinks she's my mother, eh? She didn't do any of that. But what she effectively, the outcome was that someone else's social experience of her changed. And the person will subsequently see the outcomes. They'll probably now see her being taken out to presentations, to discussions, to talks. Hey, the changes that I saw in her, there's a result. Hey, maybe I should find out from her what's going on. That's how we make change. But sitting on our high horses going, and this one did this, and this one did this, and this one did that, doesn't add up. So, we're going to pivot. Your person, your family, extremely important. Your nation. What are the limits of what is accepted as prosperity? Let's step away from just calling it in your culture. Let's put it Ghana. What's the limits of what's accepted? What's the limit of what's accepted as prosperity in Ghana? Are there no limits? I don't mind your answer. I'm not prejudging. What's the limit? We have one taker. I'm not seeing any other taker. Hey, Ohene. We have a taker here.
Okay, so what I have observed is that when a person has wealth, let's say the person has a lot of buildings, has a lot of workers, has a lot of physical wealth, people tend to not think about maybe what the person actually did before to get that. As in, like, they didn't think that, oh, the person actually puts in the work to have it. But people just say, oh, that person, or yes, Sakawa, or something like that. Like, they just give the credit to something that is not legal or something like that.
We don't trust each other. Yeah. Why? Why can't we trust that we have the ability to do honest work to prosper? There's nothing wrong with trying to find out, right? But our limits of accepted prosperity are very contextual. So when we see someone who's well and we don't understand, we always assume wrongdoing. And it's not only Sakawa. All manner of institutions can make assumptions about you. I have a simpler example. And I remember being, I'm still young, but much younger. And, you're making, I had an ambition I always wanted to buy an Audi TT. I didn't have Audi TT money. I still don't have an Audi TT, but I managed to find a decent small car to get me around. My auntie was beside herself. You guys know why she was beside herself, weren't you? Oh, you don't know why? I just described myself as being young and single. Yes. No, she didn't say, she said, so now that you bought a car, that is a limitation on prosperity as well. So you have the one that assumes that if you're wealthy, you did it dishonestly. But I didn't even it wasn't a special car. It was the existence of a car that was articulated that at that age, I'd gone beyond the acceptable limit of prosperity. Do you see how we limit ourselves? Because if I walk away believing, then I'll say, okay, maybe I should get rid of, hey, my auntie's right too. And then you start to walk around limiting your own prosperity, thereby limiting even what could happen in the future, because you're lowering your bar so that somebody who can come lower can come and meet you down there, and then yours starts from, what if I had a car and the person comes and joins the car? What's wrong with that? So that's what I meant by articulate, an accepted limit of prosperity. We have limitations. We want to prosper, and every time at the board, we'll talk about it, but we placed a cap on it. And the reason why I asked that question is that who here knows roughly, not exactly, roughly what Apple is worth? Apple, the company. Roughly, ballpark. Sorry? Try harder.
1.5 trillion.
It is a $3 trillion company.
Yeah, Apple is $3 trillion. What is the GDP of sub-Saharan Africa?
Madam, the entire Africa is 3.3 trillion.
Yes, sub-Saharan is only about 3, right? Think about what I just said. I don't need to tell you that the number of people who work at Apple is not millions of people. Will we agree on this? It's not millions. So people who are not millions have a GDP, a valuation. That's the equivalent of the quote-unquote valuation, GDP, of over 1 billion people. I know when I had Jewel on earlier, maybe for some people it felt a bit academic, detail. We need to get into the detail of the facts and figures. The reason why this slide, I thought it was so important that we have this conversation as we talk about culture and language, is that our culture and language are even capping our place sometimes in the world. Because the things that we suddenly think are amazing and great, when we take them onto the stage, it's a blip at best. We need to take our heads out of this, it's all great. Doesn't mean that we don't celebrate our progress and our success culturally, but we also need to culturally adopt the language of things that are much bigger, much greater, things that challenge us. Because I know you felt that a sobering thought, that one company is worth the GDP of all of us. Oh, good Lord. Think about it, it's a sobering thought. So when you then go onto the world stage and you're busy going Ghana this, Ghana that, Ghana this, do you really think anybody is listening to you? I'm not being harsh, but do you really think anybody cares? I don't. They don't. So culturally, we need to get ourselves out of this assumption that we have small rounds of applause because somebody said some list somewhere and then they clap for us a bit. That thing, no one in their country is reading it all. I'm not saying we shouldn't be celebrated, but know the facts. Know the facts, right? One of the very first people I interviewed, this bold journey, so many things have happened. One of the first people I interviewed, because at some point, was pre-book, pre-conference, pre-podcast, I did this thing on YouTube, and Rabna was one of the people I interviewed. It was only about 4 or 5 segments. And I sat with this young woman. It's a while ago. She's still young, but she was much younger. And I was totally fascinated because she started telling me how the fashion industry globally is worth how many trillion? She used to, you're laughing, I remember. And she told me this big number, some trillions or billions. She said some big number. And it was the first time I'd spoken to someone in her capacity, focused on African clothing, and yet was already thinking about how do I get a share of a global pie? Culturally, we need to shift our thinking away from it is all about just us. The world is a big place. And guess what? That fashion designer sitting in Milan, he or she is expecting that you will buy from them. They expect you to buy. So why are you not expecting that they should buy from you? Why? How are you going to get out of 3 trillion if your entire market is just here? Because that person in Milan is selling to the Italians, selling to the French, selling to this, selling to you, taking all our money. But when we're East Legon champion, we're done. Local champion. So here's the deal. How are you going to change your language nationally to position yourself globally? How are you going to change yourself culturally in thinking way bigger, right? I'm going to pick on you, Irabna. Irabna started with a company that was only serving Ghana, but was telling me about what the world fashion industry is like. Fast forward a few years, now she's building a lifestyle brand. That's the best way I can describe it. That is, at the moment, to serve all of Africa. So she's gone away. You know, this is from her, but it's not Wear Ghana, it's Republic of Africa. But think about, she's gone from we wear Ghana to Republic of Africa, because she's thinking beyond. I know it's not only about Africa, but that's the next step. But that's because the mind was already thinking about a global stage. So my question to you is that when we go on those global stages collectively, and we go in those places where we are together, and we have to represent culturally, how relevant are we making ourselves, and how are we making those adjustments and adaptations that make us relevant? The fact that when you don't speak up, again, back to Jibodi's example, it's not a sign of respect. In fact, it's a sign of, sorry, but you're just not smart. It's not respect. Most cultures outside of Africa believe that it means that you're dumb. And I know that's a harsh word to use, but for them, that is what it actually means. If you say nothing, it means you have nothing to say. So I know I'm sounding tough, but I'm challenging you. If we want to prosper, we need to aspire culturally and in our language to be relevant. You have to be intentional about wanting to be relevant on a global stage so that you prosper. So we're going to go to our last slide, and then we wrap. We've done our Q&A as we've gone along. So before we go to our last slide, I'm going to pause now for questions. We've done it all together, so I'm not going to have a separate, big, long Q&A. We're going to do this, and then we're going to wrap with our plan and any last couple of questions. So tell me, what questions do you have about our global positioning? Liz.
Thank you, Lucy. My question really is, how much do you want success? Because your previous slide was talking about how do we define success, what does success look like? And I can say, as I think the only white person in the room, you look at me and you make assumptions immediately, right? You don't know what I did to get in this room. When I look at you, I make assumptions. We're all human beings. That's how we're wired, right? My point about success is no one has any idea of your story before you walked in the room. And actually, the truth is, most people don't care. Frankly, most people don't care. What they want to see is, what are you bringing into the room? What value are you bringing into the room? Because I could tell you a very long story about all the things I've done. Some of you might be interested, some of you probably wouldn't be. It doesn't really matter. If I bring something into the room that you walk away with that changes you, then I've done something useful today. The reason I'm here is because I'm learning as well. And the final thing I wanted to say about success is, individual success does not mean you have disrespected your culture.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. And just to give you a tiny bit of context, you guys know how long ago I worked at Airtel. I've known Liz since then. And Liz has consistently come and worked in Ghana all those years. It's whatever she's defined for her success, defined for her life, it means that she keeps coming back to do her work. The question is, what is success for you? And success and that world stage that I talk about doesn't mean that you have to leave your country to achieve global success. Somebody's sitting right here, and she's busy trying to do a global takeover from Accra. But if culturally you keep thinking about the caps, you think about Insatia and Nyepe, right? That means all fingers aren't made equal. So, if someone got the long finger and they're prosperous, I'm the short finger, so it's okay. Then you remain a short finger. That's the choice you made. You decided your success limit is short finger. But think about the difference between what prosperity means for some. And I know I've kind of repositioned it around dollar numbers and figures. But the point of the matter is that, as Darlington said, the money matters. But ultimately, I want us to be on a continent that thrives. Because if we have the money, we will do the healthcare. We will do the better education. We will do the jobs. We will do the technology. If we have the money, we'll do it. But half the time, we can't match what we want, and then culturally, we stay the same. Someone gave an answer early on about passing down culture through farming, and I know she's somewhere, there she is. I did have one challenge with that. I remember your answer. You think, when I sit here, I'm paying attention to everything, right? It's good to teach your children your craft and your trade to farm. But my goodness, if they're going to farm the same way as their parents, we have a big problem. Because that's part of how we cap people culturally. We tell them that this is the way we have done it, and so you must do it the same. And the way they're doing it the same, people stopped doing that 100 years ago. But we want to apply 100-year-ago method to make 21st century money. You're not going to make it. Facts. You're not. It's as simple as that. You're not going to make it. You'll be here 20 years' time. You tell me that, so this matter, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. Hey, I have gone to the farm, Ebefa. Ebefa means you're willing to learn and then change the way you do the farming, so that's Ebefa. And yes, sir, it's not easy. That's your mother. You say the same. So guys, you see where we're going with this. So let's pull this together. Look, grab your notebooks. Everything that we said, if you haven't been writing already, write your action plan with more detail, more fidelity of what you're going to do over the next 12 months. This is not a talk shop. This is a you shop, a you action shop. Action for you is what this shop is about. So tell me, or actually, we're going to do it this way. Tell one person next to you, just one, so turn to one person, and answer that first question. 12 months from now, what is the vision? You've heard all the things you need to change. 12 months, what is the vision? Just simple, what is the vision? What's happening? You've shifted your culture, you've transformed. We've even gone and found the word for transformation in Chienga. Exactly, we've applied it. What's happening? 12 months from now, what's your story? Because it's your story. I love the way the idea of visioning makes you all smile. Think to the future, but think with Ebefa in mind, please. Don't think with, it's not easy. Please, you give me the Ebefa vision, not it's not easy. Yeah? Can you feel feel that positive emotion as you think positively into your future, even though you're thinking intellectually. Think successfully, and no cultural or language limitations to that vision. And write it down really quickly. Don't, even if it's a scribble, a jot, write something down that you can come back to. And I want you to really, very, very quickly in that time, give yourself, 4 dates, 3 dates, whatever dates it, what would you want to achieve by those dates? Right? Those visions. Give me 3, 4 dates on your paper. Right? 3, 4 dates on your paper that you will use. To march towards that vision. Write them quickly. The vision, 3, 4 dates. Pam, pam, pam. By this date, this. By that date, this. By that date, this. By the time I come back to Bold New Normal, hey! Fire!